Morning, y'all. Crunch here. Little drizzly day at work. Waiting on the bottles to come out so I can start making some deliveries. This one's about my career choice path. Mainly credentials. Y'all knows what those are. Credentials. The stuff that you carry around, usually in some kind of form of paperwork that says that you did something, you accomplished something, able to do something really well as in your specialty. Mine, if you know, massage therapy, well, wasn't in my initial career path, but started my program was basic massage. Next section was, they now call it advanced massage, but my program was specifically sports massage and neuromuscular therapy, which I have certifications in, as well as the massage therapy. Orlando-based, Florida-based, I took the national certification for that. Now, after I finished my program, which was really only like an associate's degree, I had some college credits from other places, so I didn't have to take every single course required for the bachelor's program that they added like right around the time of my first graduation. But since it was suggested to go ahead and do the course they had, it was a management course. So now I've got a bachelor's degree in spa management, still a management degree. And when I say spa, I'm not just talking about just your typical hair salon type of place. Like the old-fashioned, like Greek medi spas, which were more or less like, I guess you could say, back in the day, hospitals actually. So yeah, spa management, part of that, it was combined with massage and fitness. So there was a fitness segment in which we had to study more or less whatever you could think of, exercise, science, kinesiology, all them kind of things that you usually do if you go into some higher level exercise program, not your typical personal training course. This was actual college classes. So part of that, towards the end, once we were getting towards the end, for those that were going into personal training or wanted to, well, we didn't really have a choice. We had to do it. So we had to pick one. So at least when we finished, we would actually be certified as personal trainers. However, here's the credential part. For our particular program, it wasn't totally necessary for me per se to go ahead and have or need a personal trainer certificate. Yeah, you go to some places and they may like you to have it. They may want you to have it. They may actually suggest some other ones that they may actually want you to specifically get to work for them. But I didn't particularly need one. Why? Because my particular program, we had to, well, we didn't really have to, but the ones that they chose for us to go by, if you're familiar with the NSCA, National Strength and Conditioning Association, there's another one that's called NASM. I forget what that is. I think it's National Association for Sports and Movement, something like that. Anyway. It was NSCA and the ACSM, American College for Sports Medicine, I think it's called. So those were the guidelines that we use for our framework, getting into the actual fitness segment, personal training section. So that wasn't an actual certification. That was actually ingrained into my actual spa management degree in the line of natural health studies. So my actual qualification says on my BS, I have a bachelor's degree in natural health for starters, with a concentration in spa management. Right. So what does that mean? With everything that I have between that and the other certs, like the associate's degree certs, it allows me to practice massage therapy, which would actually go ahead and include sports massage therapy. I know it sounds fancy, but it's more or less just working on athletes, warming them up before events and, cooling them down before events if there's any kind of treatment or anything like that to go on. In between events, especially if you're like say a track athlete, you don't just run one race. You have like a few races of that one particular race you have to run for like qualifiers, and if you make it through semis, quarters, whatever else, finals. So in between all of those, sometimes the big guys, professional guys, they have people working on them all around the clock. It's like you're their personal, quote unquote, therapist, trainer, all of that, making sure nothing goes wrong with their bodies or trying to prevent injuries and stuff like that, helping them to perform at the highest level they possibly can. People make a lot of money in sports, so I mean, it's a well-needed thing, I guess, for that level of performance. Neuromuscular therapy, if you're not sure what those are, if you've ever heard of what people call a pinched nerve or experience one, you will remember everything, every single terminology pertaining to what that actually means if you look it up, if you ever experienced the pain of one of those. They don't play. I had a touch of sciatica myself, so thank God, God sent me to go and learn those kind of things so I would be able to still function, because that shit hurt. But anyway, what it is, a lot of it is what is called trigger point therapy. If you can imagine along your muscle belly, you got nerves running up and down all throughout your body. And when you get a cramp, like a full muscle belly cramp, your whole entire muscle, if say it's a hamstring, for example, your whole entire hamstring sometimes can cramp and just lock upon you, spaz. Sometimes it'll spaz, whatever. If you have a trigger point, you can imagine a tiny little group of muscle fibers in any particular muscle for any reason just on its own start to fire. So you got a tiny miniature cramp in a big muscle or in a whatever size muscle. And sometimes they don't come swinging their hands. They come in groups sometimes. So you got those little tiny microspasm cramps that are sometimes just as painful as the full belly cramp, apparently. So what trigger points is getting rid of those. Sometimes you really got to hunt them through. It's not like a whole muscle you could just massage the whole thing. You got to literally hunt and peck and feel around to try and find, the little spots in there and then try and get rid of them. That's what trigger points is. Neuromuscular therapy is if you have a pinched nerve for whatever reason you happen to have it, works on, first of all, releasing it without causing any damage or minimizing any damage, because nerves are really, really specialized stuff. You got to be really careful with them. So working on releasing those entrapments are what they're called, from wherever they happen to be. Sometimes to be around the hip area where there's, bone or joint articulation surfaces, that kind of thing. Dislocation, people, they've probably experienced that depending on what it is. Shoulders, wherever they're really highly technical. So it works on releasing those. And then the therapy involved goes around trying to make sure your body repositions so it doesn't slip out of place or get tangled up again, more or less. To make a long story short, that is a degree qualification. Yes, there's a certificate for it, but there's an actual degree for that. Yeah, it's only an associate's level, but it still qualifies you to do it technically without having an actual special other certification to go along with it. Now, depending on who you work for and where you work, like I said, there's some, if you're stateside, might be some state restrictions where they want you to learn a particular way or some other, they have some other, formalized tests. Sometimes each state has their own testing protocol or whatever. So you might have, although you might have that same, say, degree that I have, they may want you to go and get familiar with what they do in their territory. So anyway, but in a nutshell, qualified to do all of those without any actual certifications of any kind. Well, you got to carry your CPR and first aid kind of stuff with you too. But other than those, I don't need anything else as far as certifications to do fitness training, personal training, coaching, anything along those lines. It's all ingrained into my associate's and bachelor's program. So from massage therapy, neuro and sports massage, fitness training of any kind. Mind you, my first certification was, I think it was, not exercise specialist. It was not performance specialist, but those are the ones that expire, I think, after it's like every 2 years or so. You gotta keep it current. But it's not necessary because I have a bachelor's degree in natural health, which kind of encompasses all of that. So, yeah, you could say I went around a shrewd way of trying to find how close I could come to actually being an actual doctor without actually having to carry the DR around with my name. In a nutshell. At the same time, being able to run, manage any kind of business really, because it is a management degree which specializes in the spa treatments and fitness treatments that more or less works on really maintaining a body properly without the need of people using medicine or typical conventional Western medicine. So there's aromatherapy, which is also involved in that, which technically is prescriptive, you could say, or especially if you've already been pre-diagnosed. There are a lot of disorders and illnesses and stuff like that that I specifically can treat without having to carry that DR around as an aromatherapist, because that's all part of the program. If you don't know what that is, there's such a thing called essential oils, which have medicine-based, ingredients inside of it that once you inhale them, they have similar effects or the, same effects. They may not be always as potent. Maybe there's some stronger ones out there now that act, maybe as quickly as some of the other ones. But if some of y'all don't like y'all needles or injections or popping pills or bad tasting medicine, a nice fragrance, wouldn't that be a nice option for medicine, for treatment? I think so too. So that is also a part of the program. So when I say spa management, don't just think I'm going in there to get somebody's hair braided or to watch some people do nails and stuff like that. I didn't learn all that nail and hair stuff. But think hospital when you hear a spa management degree, especially if you went through the program I did. Old-fashioned hospital. Look them up. Greek Med Spa, like the places that used to be really popular for vacation spots, like around the world. Just a place just a big hotel's name. We got one or two of them here in the Bahamas. Club Med. Right. Club Med was one of those types of places where people used to really go, not just for vacation, but there was like a spa where people used to go for medical benefits. So that's what it is. From hot treatments, cold treatments, you got your hot tub, your sauna, once they are clean, I should say. Contrast therapies between heat and cold, whether you're using it in a dip form, like you go in the hot tub or ice bath or anything, or you use your cold or hot compress, little packs, heat packs or cold packs. All of that is a part of it. And I've been injured quite often enough to know that I haven't gone through 10% of the therapy, I guess you could say, that's offered by a typical massage or just a physiotherapist for rehabbing my injuries, as far as, compared to what I actually do as far as rehabbing people's personal injuries. Remember, the physio guys, they only deal with fixing your body. They're not able to prescribe anything as far as I know. So with being able to prescribe exercises for people, being able to show them and conduct them in the way to actually properly do those exercises to help their injuries to get better, as well as combining the aromatherapy if there's some underlying issues. Some people have underlying issues that cause these injuries. Now you understand why when I came home I started using the name Dr. Feelgood. I know they told us in class, no, you can't use the name doctor because you're not a doctor, but I knew I wasn't. That wasn't my real name. But just saying, I'm not in the US, so that don't necessarily apply here. But that's actually just a nickname. I told y'all about that. That's the name of a song from a rock band from back in the 80s, popular rock band. Which I happen to like one or two songs. Not all of them, but I like one or two songs. And mainly the names of, I guess, of the artists. Slash and Axel. Axe. L. Y'all know my name. L-E-W-I-S. Lewis. Axe. L. I ain't gonna show you the slash, but that only just showed up recently anyway. But that's where I got the name from. So go down the list or up the list of where it started. If I can remember them all, back from Blake Road days, community center days, body designs, maybe body mechanic. I think I might have actually advertised under one time ago. Body designs, body mechanic. They went off and they came back. I think it was Dr. Feelgood at first. A couple other things. I can't remember all. Cap and Crunch. Now the fits. So there you have it. In a nutshell. Credentials. So no, I don't need to actually have a current certification for stuff that I've already been studying and know how to do from probably before personal training became a thing. I've been doing this way before I got to actual college. I've been studying this bio stuff from pretty much I could stand up, how fast I could get, how strong I could get. Can I get taller? Can I get bigger? Can I lose weight? Way before this actually became what it became. So then there's the experience level associated with what you do, which I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm probably in that top 100 percentile of people with actual training and exercise experience. Rehab, well, I mean, nobody likes to get injured, but I've had my share of injuries that I've had to rehab either on my own or with the help of doctors, per se. I never used a physiotherapist really at all for other than my most recent injury, which is a kind of technical one a few years ago, just before the pandemic. So she didn't actually teach me anything, I should say, new, but she did have some stuff in their equipment that I've never used before, like some of those Pilates machines and stuff like that for, weakened legs to be able to get them back function. I've never been on one of those, but it was a cool experience. She reminded me of some things that were possible for therapy, but I'm one of those people, when I get an injury, I head straight to the books to try and figure out what caused it, how to prevent it in the future, and whilst I'm working on it, how to make it better. From the sprained ankles I used to get, little broken fingers, arm, wrists, kneecaps, all of that. So that's experience. You can't really buy that per se. You can talk to a lot of people, but when you get to specifics, you can generally speak on some things, but specifics is specifics. So yeah, credentials plus qualifications plus experience equals the fits.